Hey everybody, welcome to the Author on Wheels podcast. My name is John Wood and I am affectionately known as Author on Wheels. This is a podcast discussing my books, my life, and my fight to survive. Join us as we have some incredible interviews with some incredible authors. Kenneth Muyingo is the author of the book Opening Up, The Strength You Need to Persevere. He is an inspirational speaker, and he is the creator of the Opening Up training workbook and lead coach of the Opening Up Life Transformation Program. Kenneth, who energizes people to meet the challenges of the world around them, he draws lessons from his and other people's life experiences. The thread is forever strengthened to proclaim why you can't afford to settle for less, but rather aim high to achieve great things and actively make your dreams come true. And in so doing, make the world a better place. Kenneth Muyingo never tires to use his energies to transform the world. He's helping individuals write books and become highly paid, published authors. Join us as we sit down with author Kenneth Muyingo. To the Author on Wheels podcast, episode number 5. Today, we are talking with Mr. Kenneth Muyingo, author, motivational speaker, and we're just going to get right into it. You can learn a little bit more about our guest and today's interview in the recorded intro. But Kenneth, we're going to sit down and have a little bit of a discussion. I have some questions to ask, and then we can talk a little bit more about your book. Is that okay?
It's all right. Let's do it.
Okay. So my first question to you is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, including your book titles and what led you to writing?
Very well. My name is Kenneth Muyingo, and I'm originally from Uganda. That's where I was born and raised. And so about 12 years ago, I came to the Netherlands in 2009. And I felt from a very young age that my future involved living outside of Uganda. When I was, as far back as I can remember, from when I was about 4 years old, I got fascinated with airplanes. So my dad left Uganda in 1989 when I was about 4 years old. And what I understood from my mother is that he went on an airplane. And growing up, I was a very playful or active child. And I felt very strongly like I needed a father figure in my life who wasn't present. But
Right.
what I was told is that he went on a plane. And so I got fascinated with airplanes. And every time I would see a plane flying over the Kampala skyline, I would just like start daydreaming and imagine myself in the plane and just going where my father was.
Mm-hmm.
And that preoccupied me until my adult years. When I was about 25 years old, that's when I got my first opportunity to travel abroad. I didn't go to the States, but I came to the Netherlands. And yeah, it was more than I expected, or completely different from what I expected. So I thought I would get here and it would all be easy. And I get here and I'm told I need to to be integrated, to sort of be recognized as a legal citizen here.
I see.
And I was told I needed to apply for asylum. That would be the easy way for me to get integrated. And that is what I did. But I wasn't actually a refugee. So I actually lied to the immigration authorities. And the moment I did it, I felt really sick about it because I realized that it was not the right thing for me to do. And I looked for an opportunity to right my wrong. And I promised myself that I would not leave the Netherlands until I got an opportunity to tell the truth. But this procedure lasted for 2 years. And after 2 years, I was told, well, we don't believe your story and we don't think you're a refugee, so you have to leave. If not, we are going to arrest you, detain you, and deport you. And that shook me to the core, basically. and and Under these circumstances, I'm picked up at 7 o'clock in the morning, one Tuesday morning, and they told me that the immigration authority, the immigration police had got permission to come and collect me because I was no longer legally living in the Netherlands, and I was locked up in an immigration detention center for 10 months.
Oh my
And that was tough time. Days felt like weeks, and weeks felt like months, and months felt like years. And I was there for 10. And but during that time, I got to have an encounter with a side of me that I had not got an encounter with before. So I mean, I got into this place with sort of a feeling of entitlement, or feeling like the world owes me something, like I have to have my way with life and things are supposed to be easy. And this whole experience made me realize that life is tough, that sometimes things just don't work out the way they're supposed to be working
God.
out. And it's in those times that our character is really tested. And one time I was in this detention center and I saw a poster somewhere
Mm-hmm.
that really spoke to me on a personal way. The poster said, "What would you think if I told you that everything that has happened in your life has had a part to play in your ending up here? And what would you say if I told you that right here, right now is exactly where you're supposed to be in order for a future that you cannot even start to think about to come into play for you?" So I stood there and looked back on my life like I was watching a movie, basically.
Hmm.
And I thought about all the mistakes and the choices that I had made. And I made a promise to myself that I would be a better person and not be bitter because of what had happened. So I forgave myself and I forgave the past. And I promised that I would write a book about this whole experience when I came out of detention. And eventually, when I did come out of detention, I will tell maybe a little bit later about the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the book and I titled it Opening Up: The Strength You Need to Persevere, because basically it is about my journey and what I went through to not give up, but rather to persevere through the tough time that I found myself in.
That's incredible. That's some of the most mind-boggling things that I've ever heard. And yes, we can talk about that a little bit later in this interview. Question number two: what would you say fuels your passion for writing?
What fuels my passion for writing? That's a great question. Thank you. Um, the desire to tell, to share my experience, knowing that not everyone in life has the privilege to go through what I went through. Sometimes we undermine our own experiences because they're ours and we just look at them for what they are. But I've realized that uh, we learn as we go along. And the way I've
Yes.
understood how life unfolds, we, when we are in school, I mean, maybe you've had it said before that experience is the best teacher, right?
Yes.
Um, when we are in school, the teachers that taught us best gave us lessons first and then exams later. And then when I look at the relationship of life and education, life is the exact opposite. You get the exam first and then you learn the lesson later. And the beauty of life's lessons is this, that we all need all the lessons that we can master out of life, but not everyone has the privilege to go through all of life's experiences. So when I understood this, I realized that there is something that I had been through and I needed to share it so that the rest of the world can take the lessons out of it and use those lessons to better move them forward faster on their journey to success and growth in life.
Again, really hitting home. I'm encouraged more to hear that. Thank you. My third question to you would be, what advice would you give those listening who probably want to write a book but are having trouble thinking of ideas or motivating themselves to write?
Awesome. That's a great one again, John. We all have experiences. The the thing that we don't realize is sometimes we are looking in the wrong place for our ideas. I would say the greatest ideas or the best ideas are the ones that are closest to home. So look into your own life experience, look into where you have been, look into what you are dealing with, look into what you're going through, look into the things that you have dealt with, that you have overcome, because this is what happens with life. We we live life in doses, and we live life in stages. That the lesson that we learn at one stage in life becomes the foundation for the next exam or the next opportunity that we are going after. But then the thing that interests me is that each of these experiences has value in them, but we cannot know the value until we have been through the experience. So take a look back at where you have been. You'll be surprised how much you have overcome. Take a look at your own life experiences, and you yourself will be surprised, because sometimes it's our own experience. We don't uh, treat it with, we don't attach value to it. But there is great value and ideas in each and every one of our lives. As long as my point of view is that every life worth living is worth documenting.
I like that. Every life worth living is a life worth documenting.
Yes.
That is incredible. Again, you are very outspoken, Kenneth. This has been a very interesting and very well worked for interview, and I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you in the future in regards to how you've gotten to be where you are today. And I've learned that just in this 13 minutes. Our last question, and we can free chat after this. You can continue your story about what you were speaking earlier. Our last question is, where can our listeners contact you in regards to your books?
Very well. The book is available on Amazon,
Hmm.
and that the link is opening up. That's the title of the book, and it can be
Hmm.
accessed on Amazon. And also, I am available on social media, uh, Facebook, Instagram. The name is Kenneth Muyingo. And then there is also a website. It's www.openingupbook.com. So that book is there because what I've done is I realized that there was something going on with this more than just a book. So I did work with a team of professionals, and we have created an opening up transformation program to just help other people figure out their own journeys, because sometimes we have been through things but we don't realize the value of the things that we have been through. We have had experiences in life, but we don't see our experiences for what they're worth. And so with the opening up transformation program is that it just helps an individual look into their own life and start to become aware of the things that they've been through, And in so doing, they also get clear on their biggest ideas or the dreams that they would like to achieve in the future. Because sometimes uh, we meet people and then you ask them, uh, what do you want out of life? Very few people can answer this uh,
Right.
clearly unless they've like taken time to think about this and to get clear about what it is, because it's a very deep question. But unless we are clear about what we want, we don't know how to get there, John. So it's important for us to just get that clarity. And so that's the purpose of this program, that it helps people to just get clarity on where they are, where they have been, and where they are going. And so there is opportunities for people to get one-on-one coaching with me for that I take you through a 6-week program, or we could do a group session that we work with several people in a group. But basically, that's how to get in touch with me on as far as this is concerned. And there is also um, an opening up podcast that is
Mm-hmm.
on all basically uh, on Spotify, on all the major podcasting outlets. It is on there, and basically it's on Richard,
Yes.
and it is, yes,
I've
on
actually
Anchor.
listened
That's
to your
right.
podcast on
Thank you so
Anchor.
much.
Yes. You're very welcome. Guys, that's the end of this interview. Join us next time. If you want to hear more about our guest, the affiliated links to our guest will be available in the information on this podcast by going to the Anchor app and finding the Author on Wheels podcast. As well as if you would like to hear more about what the Author on Wheels is doing, you can follow us on Facebook by liking the Author on Wheels Facebook page or going to our website. That will also be linked in the description of this episode. As well, you can follow me personally on Twitter and Instagram. But this has been the Author on Wheels podcast, episode number 5. We have enjoyed the interview with Kenneth Muyingo this afternoon. Kenneth, we'd like to thank you for joining us today to give us a little bit of insight on you. And again, guys, this has been the Author on Wheels podcast. And before I go, I just want to let y'all know that your life is a story, and I'm imposing the question of how are you going to write the next
You're
chapter?
welcome, John. It
Again, we
was
will see you guys
wonderful
next time.
speaking
Thank you,
with you
Kenneth.
today.
The Author on Wheels podcast would like to thank author and motivational speaker Kenneth Muyingo for joining us on the podcast today to discuss his life and his book and his story. Kenneth, we thank you so much for everything that you do for us as authors. We love you, buddy. Thank you.